All righty, so we're good to go. So we have Rebecca Nielsen from Utah Grants here with us today, and she's going to talk to us about everything we need to know about Utah Grants. So whenever you're ready, Rebecca.
Can everyone hear me okay? Lisa, thumbs up. Can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, feel free to interrupt me at any point if you have any questions. I will leave some time at the end of this for additional questions if you don't feel like interrupting, or if you have additional things that haven't been addressed during my little presentation here. My hopes are to go through a few things that are quite high level, basic navigation in Utah Grants, and then we'll take a deeper dive into a couple of additional items. Like I said, if we don't cover a topic that interests you or that you're having an issue with, feel free to interrupt me, or we can pick that up at the end. I am Rebecca Nielsen. I am the Grants System Administrator for the Utah State Board of Education, and I am half of the Utah Grants Help Desk team. Louis Carpio is also on my team, and he helps primarily with help desk tickets. So if you send an email to utahgrants@schools.utah.gov, or you call the help desk number, either he or I will answer that call. So that is me in a nutshell. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Lisa, I may need to have you give me a thumbs up again and let me know what you can see. Okay.
We've got
You
it.
can see my web screen.
It's the Board of Education website.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to show you resources on where you can find training materials or information on Utah Grants within the schools.utah.gov website. So this is our main site for the agency. If you scroll down under financial operations, which is where I live, and click on that tile, you will see a little program menu that has a section for Utah Grants. Click there and you will see all sorts of resources as it relates to how to utilize Utah Grants and training materials, and some YouTube videos that were recorded many, many years ago. 5 now, I think, need to be updated, but training resources are all here, and we'll be working on getting these updated again here shortly, because some of them are starting to get a little bit stale. But just so you know where to find information if you have questions on navigating or how to do something specifically in Utah Grants, that's on the State Board of Education website. Okay, I have logged into Utah Grants in a testing environment, so this is not real information. You'll see a lot of things that look familiar, but many things that do not. So just so you know that as we go through this training today, this is in a testing environment. So anything that I do here it's not real life, it's just for demonstration purposes. So I wanted to start out by showing you some basic navigation and some things that you may not have seen within Utah Grants. So when you first log into Utah Grants, it should take you here to a home screen. Within the home screen, a table or a dashboard that's often overlooked is this task summary by phase dashboard. This is actually really helpful because it goes through each of these applications, grants, and monitoring tabs at the top and tells me if I happen to have any pending tasks under each of those. So normally we have to go in to find our pending tasks. We have to go into applications and then click on pending tasks. So typically we would say, I know I have an application that I need to apply for. I'm going to go to applications, and then I'm going to click on pending tasks. And that will show me everything that's in my queue. So this shortcut from the dashboard, if I go back to the home screen where I first logged in, it shows me that same number 14. And whenever it's blue, that's a hyperlink. So if I hover over that number 14 in applications, I can click on that and it will take me to the same place. So just a quick little shortcut on knowing how to navigate to your pending tasks, where they are within which area, which tab at the top. That dashboard is a really nice help for you to see which area do I have pending tasks and how many. So that's it, and then it will take you a shortcut there. So that's one that's often overlooked. Wanted to give you a little bit of a helpful hint on this task summary by due date. flex table or dashboard. This one is a little bit less useful. So tasks in Utah grants are automatically set to be due within 7 days after they were created. So the dates on here are related to 7 days after something happened. So if a reimbursement request was submitted to you for approval, it's due in 7 days. Or if an application was created, it's due in 7 days. And that's not necessarily in fact, it's never true. Nothing is ever due in 7 days. Applications have their own deadline, and payment requests, you can submit them whenever you want to get paid. So this just kind of starts to tell you as things start to get older. It's helpful from that vantage point, but don't put too much weight on this due date, because technically it's not a due date, it's an aging. Okay, so a couple other things in the home tab that you may not be familiar with. Under manage organization profiles. So on the left, there's a link to everything about your school, your LEA. If you click on that, it will tell us like your LEA ID number within Utah grants, address, basic information, EIN, UEI SAM number. It will also tell you under the contacts all of your active users and what type of role they have. So we never delete users from this. So as people leave your LEA, they may still show up on this table, but they won't have a checkbox in this is user. We just don't want to delete any history associated with that user. So if you see people there, don't be too alarmed. However, I would suggest that you look at this and review this table to make sure that I still have all of your active users and everyone that should be here. And if someone has left your LEA, shoot an email to our help desk so that we can get them removed. I will provide all of that information at the end as well, as far as our contact information. One note is this key contact default internal approver person. In this testing environment, it is Chad Lloyd. This is the individual that is responsible for adding any new users in Utah grants. So the key point of contact can add or request new users. That gets sent to me and Louie to approve, but they can request that. Also, whenever an application is created or a reimbursement request, the internal approver defaults to this key point of contact default internal approver. That can always be changed, and I'll show you that as we go into some of these applications. Anyone that's in the approver role and is active can serve that purpose. So we can go in and change. If I'm doing an application, I can change the default internal approver from Chad to Carrie. So just as long as they're an active approver, I can make that change. Also, I wanted to note the difference between a creator and an approver in Utah grants. An approver can do everything that a creator can do. So an approver can create an application, can create a payment request, can create a budget revision. They just can't approve their own things. So for example, if Chad wanted to create something in this example and then send it to Carrie as an approver, that would totally work in Utah grants. It just can't be vice versa. So a creator cannot approve, but an approver can both create and approve. Okay. I'm going to pause there. Any questions on user roles? Okay, I'm going to continue. I am not seeing a chat either in this meeting, so Lisa, maybe you can help me moderate. If you do see chats, let me know. Also within the organization profile, it shows your indirect cost rates for your LEA. So this is what you have negotiated with John Palmer and his team for each fiscal year. So if ever you have a question about what are my rates for a specific fiscal year and type unrestricted and restricted, that table lives here, as well as any public schools that roll up under the school district. Mostly that's a school district thing, and private schools that will roll up under that. I think we do have some LEA charters that have multiple schools listed, so that's not just a district thing. But the private school information, I believe, is district specific. And then this is just a place for me to link to our financial system so that we make sure that when payments are approved here, that crosses over into our financial system. Okay, so that's pretty much everything else that you're going to see here. Oh, we can look at a few things. So related logs, this is going to show me a lot of the information that I'll see in these subsequent tabs, just in another place. You can get to many things under the view manage organization profile. So under related logs, I can see all of my applications that happen to be in a status that says submitted, where in this case there are none. Whenever you see this chevron or drop down next to a menu, pay attention to that because you can change what you're looking for. So in this case, I don't want to just see anything that says submitted application. I want to see all of my applications. So I clicked on that chevron and it brought me up to all of my applications. Another helpful hint is this little filter function. So anytime that you see this, which you'll see in most of our flex tables or tables, if you click on that, it will pull up some options for you to filter. You can filter by anything that you see on the screen. So essentially, if I want to see like status, anything that's equal to created, and I click on the green button, that filters anything. So that filters the results, and I can keep adding. So now I want to see status equal to approved internally. I can add that to my filter as well. And I should be able to see that. Also, I don't know if you noticed what I just did there is I clicked on the heading that I wanted to sort in each of these tables. If you click once, go one direction, click again, it will go the other direction. So if you're looking for something alphabetically, you can click on those headings, and it's an easy way to find things. A moment. Okay. And then you can also remove those filters. And the search function is just about everywhere. I use that all of the time. So if you're looking for a specific, you know exactly what program you're looking for example, TSI Summer Planning. Put that in there, click on the search box, and it will pull up anything related to TSI Summer Planning. So search functionality, sort functionality, and filter functionality is very, very helpful, especially as we get through, like I think we're on our 6th year of using Utah Grants. So we have a lot of data, a lot of information here to sort through. Okay, so same thing on awards. You can see active awards the same way you can applications. And also payment requests are shown here. Again, this is just one of the many ways that you can access this information under the Manage Organization profile. You can see under the management any site visits that happen to be for your LEA. We'll be doing some additional trainings here shortly on site visits within Utah Grants. Many of you have already done that. Many are still to do that, but we do have functionality within the system to help us to manage the documentation back and forth on site visits. Also with risk assessments, any grant that's asked you to complete a risk assessment, all of the information is housed here. Assurances that you do annually are shown here, and all of the information. Let me just kind of show you how you drill down. Anytime you see that green up, it just means view. You're not actually owning anything, or you're not going to do any damage just by submitting anything. Green eye is always safe. It's just a view. This assurance just opens the assurance record. This tells me almost nothing. I have to go into the form and look at the form to get the detail of how this LEA reported on their 2023 assurances. It gives all of the assurances and responses. So if you ever need to go back and say, how did we answer that question on the assurance? There it is. Okay. So essentially that is the home tab. Manage Organization Profile is really powerful. There's a lot of things that we can do there. Next tab over, this kind of follows the grant lifecycle. So we go from opportunities, applications, to grants, to monitoring, and monitoring would include our closeout. Under opportunities, essentially this is anything that's a competitive opportunity within Utah Grants. So normally we have an allocation and we know that you are going to be receiving funding. So like, for example, if you receive Title I funds, we will already set up an application for you, and you'll skip this opportunities tab. But if it's a competitive grant and you are proposing an application, you will start here in opportunities, and we'll publish this opportunity. Most of these look like really weird names because we're in testing, but just want to show you how you would go through and find that opportunity and apply for the grant if it's a competitive. So for example, we have published an opportunity for, we'll just use this one, a regression testing. I'm going to click on the I to look at the opportunity. It gives me a bunch of gibberish, but information about the eligibility, who can apply for this grant, what it is. If it really were a real opportunity, we would tell you what it was for, some of the requirements for that. Tell you what are the eligible cost categories, how much is available, any other documents or attachments that you can see related to that announcement would be here. If I decide that this is something that we want to apply for, you first have to click on this button here on the right, which is interest. Again, any user can do this. Oh, but it looks like I have already done this. So I'm going to choose a different example. That was a good warning to show you what that looks like. That was totally planned. Let's try this one. I'm going to say interest. Okay, now it says opportunity has been interested. That doesn't do much for me. So now on the left, I have to go down and say, okay, show me the interested opportunities. Then I find the one that I want to apply. This is the one that I selected second, so UAT 01. So I'm going to look at that interested opportunity. And I'm going to say, yes, I really do want to apply for this. So I'm going to now create the application. I have to complete some basic elements. So application title and application abstract. These can always be edited after the fact. Just this gives me kind of a placeholder. And then I'm going to save this application. And now it gives me the full open application that I can work on and submit for approval. So this gives me, again, here's what I put in for my project abstract. To be able to edit these, I need to click on the edit button. That opens up each of those boxes for me to now edit and change anything that I added before. So for example, I said this was a test title. I'm going to make it the second test title and save that. Oh, let me show you also how you can change the internal approver. I'm going to go back into edit. So again, I showed you how that defaults to the key point of contact default internal approver, in this case, Chad. If I want to see who else can approve this, I first need to take out the name and then click search. Otherwise, it's going to search for the value that's in that box. So I can, if I already know the name, I can type that, or I can just remove all names and click search, and it'll pull up anybody that could approve that. So in this case, I'm going to pick a different internal approver. Go ahead and save that. I do recommend that you save frequently so that you don't lose information as you go from page to page. Probably not as frequently as I just showed you, but frequently. And then you're going to complete your budget. This is showing you what your indirect cost rate will be for this program and the type. So this is a restricted cost rate program. You'll want to enter your narrative, and then you'll want to enter your budget categories. In a competitive grant, you get to pick how much you are requesting. Typically, if it's a formula grant, we will be like Title I was the example I used earlier. We'll be telling you how much your LEA is eligible for, and your budget needs to meet that amount. So little quirky difference between a competitive grant and a formula grant is the amount you get to ask for it specifically on a competitive, whereas on formula, we tell you what you're eligible for. Okay, so once that is done and you've completed the budget narrative and the budget, you would then click on the submit for approval button. It will tell you if you have any errors. Oh, before you do that, double check and make sure that there's no required attachments. That's one of the errors that will give you if there's a required attachment. Make sure that you've attached everything that you need to. If there are required attachments, you'll do that here. And save the program again and submit for approval. That will then go to whoever was designated as the internal approver for approval and submission to USBE. So let me show you, that was applying for a grant through a competitive opportunity. Let me show you how that differs on like the formula allocations, like the Title I that I showed you. On those, we've created the application for you because we needed to pre-fill the amount in that box. So we skip the opportunities tab and go directly to applications. And if it's the first time that the application has come out, you're going to be seeing that under pending tasks. So pending tasks will show anything that has not been picked up and owned. You have to, every application can only have one owner. So for example, this top application here, if I click on the green arrow, that's a little different than the green eye. The green arrow is an action. And I get a little pop-up box and saying, are you sure you want to start this application? Once initiated, you'll be the only one that's able to edit the application. You either say yes or no. In this case, I'm going to say no, because I don't remember. I have no idea what this subject complete and submit is. I don't even know what program this is for. So I want to find more information about this before I own this application and make it my own. So I'm going to go back into the applications tab. So I was in my pending tasks. I'm just going to exit that and go back to the main screen for applications. And I'm going to find that, I believe it, I don't think that's really the name of the program, but it would show up here as something that actually makes sense. Actually just going to find something that's in created status. So let me put the filter on, show you that. We're going to say status equal to, oh, or in this case contains. Okay, so we'll look at this application. Let's not do that one because that one looks like it's already being, it's in an edit status. So these are not. That means no one has owned those. So I want to just look at that to see if it's something that is my responsibility that I want to apply for. Okay, so here I can see the opportunity description, overview. I can see everything related to this opportunity. And in the owner field right here, you can see where it says sub queue. That means that nobody has picked up this application and owned it yet. So this application is still sitting in pending tasks for anyone to pick up and own. So if you come out here and just look at it, you can get information about the program. You just can't become the owner from here. So again, so let's look at this one specifically from the title. It's called IDT Fed Formula UAT is the title of that application. I saw that here under the table. Okay, so I could just view it from here, or I can go into my pending tasks if I want to become the owner and start that application. And find it here. And I don't know why I can't find that one here. So that was a great example. But typically what you would do is find it here and say, yes, I want to become the owner of that application. Again, being in test environment is kind of a little bit weird. And now you can see I have these buttons at the top. That's because I own the application. I'm the owner of the or creator of the application. And you can also see my name. I'm signed in right now as Lisa Crane. Owner Lisa Crane can make edits to this application and submit it to Chad Lloyd, or she could change that to whomever she chooses to approve that, as long as they're an approver. Okay, so that's essentially submitting an application. It's a little bit different here through the formula, where I've created the application based on a formula. When you complete the budget, so you'll notice in this testing environment, we have a budget that's exactly $100. You need to make sure that your budget totals $100. This remaining amount has to be zero before you could submit that. I'm glad I picked this one. It's really easy because indirect costs are not applicable, but that's one item that becomes a little bit tricky as you're creating your budgets. I've got some spreadsheets saved out on the USBE Utah grants page on creating a budget. It's like a little Excel template that will help you back into your direct costs based on your indirect cost rate. But in this case, it's pretty easy. I can just put in a budget, save. If there were indirect costs associated with that, when I save, the indirect costs would have calculated here and been part of my total. And I'm going to refresh my screen because that remaining amount did not change. There we go. Remaining amount is now zero. Other items that I need to submit would be budget narrative. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in just to show you what that looks like. You'll notice the little orange or red circle on this tab that says overview. That's because there's something there that's missing. So it's kind of a nice new feature that Utah Grants has added, is that it puts a little indicator there that, hey, just so you know, you need to come back here. You've got something missing. In this case, I know I don't have an abstract, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And save. I'd want to make sure that I added any attachments that were required in this program, and then I can submit for approval. Okay, and now my status has changed to submitted for approval, and I have lost all of my buttons. So we know that that has gone to the internal approver. In this case, I think we left that as Chad for his approval. Previously, you may have noticed that there was another button available for you at the top that was waive. If you do receive an allocation, but as an LEA, you choose not to accept those funds, you can actually decline them right from this application within Utah Grants and say, thank you, no thank you, and click on the waive button. There is a little warning box that comes up that says, hey, are you really sure you want to waive these funds? You do not want to utilize this for your LEA, and you would say yes or no. And then once you say yes, that will again go to your internal approver to confirm that you are waiving those funds. Just be careful with the waiving because once you do waive within Utah Grants and it is approved, then we can't go back. So waiving funds is permanent. Sorry, semi-permanent. We can always fix things back end, but it's in the waive case, it's pretty tough. So just make sure you're careful with using that waive funds button. Use it if you will not be utilizing those funds. Help us free those funds up for other LEAs. But if you do not intend to click it, just make sure that you don't. Okay, so that is the applications. We've talked about opportunities and as they become applications or applications, if they start there, or once an application is fully approved by USBE, the application becomes approved and recommended for funding, and we move on to the grant phase of the award. And they're pretty separate. So once an application is finalized, we move on to the grant. You're not going to go back and make any changes to that application anymore. The application is finalized, it's done. We're now working in the grant world. Any changes that we make would be proposed changes to the grant, not to the application. Okay, so within the grants tab, you'll see we have another flex table that gives us some great information about each of the programs that we have within the LEA, how they are paid, what's their period of performance, how much was awarded, how much is remaining. Wanted to show you another little flex table that's kind of hidden, that's actually super helpful. On the left, if you click on View Active Awards on the left, this is actually a new flex table that gives you just a little bit more information. So it gives you things like a CFDA number, if this is a federal award. It also gives you your sub account. So this is a district program revenue account. I'm not sure that if you use those or not, but if you do need those sub accounts, that's shown here as well. So for your accounting systems on how those need to be reported, that's shown here. And then again, it shows if reimbursement is required, how much is awarded, and how much is remaining. Anytime there's an I, we can use that to access the information regarding that award. Let's use this one as an example. You get a lot of information regarding like who this is to, the program itself, the details, the scope. This is carried over from your application. Also any key contacts within the agency or within who completed the application, that gets carried over from the application. We'll also show you your budget details as they were approved. If you do need to make changes to that, that's right here in the budget table. You can just say initiate revision here. And it gives you a warning. It says, hey, be careful if you have anything in flight or anything that's pending approval. If you say yes here, we can only have one thing going per grant at a time. So it will be automatically canceled. Are you sure you want to proceed with this budget revision? And you can say yes or no. So that's how that is initiated. You're also going to see under the requests, any payment requests that were submitted under this grant. One piece that has been a little bit confusing for several is they'll see this payment request and nothing's there, but they know they've submitted requests under this grant. This one's a little quirky, little weird thing that Utah Grants does that drives us all a little bit crazy. So I want to explain the difference between an award and a grant. So in this case, you can see on the top left, right here, in tiny little letters, it says I'm in award view. I'm going to click on the hyperlink within that table or within the header that says GT USBE, the grant ID. So I'm going to click on that. Again, anything blue is a hyperlink. Okay, and now you can see that I'm in grant view. So grant view is the overarching umbrella, whereas award view is the current version of that grant. So I don't know if this is a good example or not, but if I am in grant view and I click on the awards tab, it's not a great example. You can see the multiple versions of the grant. So if this has been amended for any reason, like we've increased or decreased your allocation, you could have multiple lines of awards here. So if this is the case, and I've submitted a reimbursement request under a previous version of the award, so an earlier line, all of my payment requests are going to fall under whichever grant or award was active at the time that I submitted that payment request. So I actually have a better example. Let me just pick it up from my notes here and show you that example. In 1 second. Okay, this is so another little helpful hint over here on the left. If you ever see the boxes that have a plus, that means they can be expanded. And I use this global search all of the time. So if I know I need to find something within the grants, rather than going back to all of my tables and searching through those, I'll use this global search. In this case, I picked up the grant ID number. You can search by title. You can, yeah, any key information there you can use in your search. And that's an easy way to find it. So in this case, it actually shows me on right here on this table, there are 3 awards under this grant. So let me show you. Okay, again, I am in grant view. That's the high level overarching umbrella. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the awards tab, and that shows me all of the various versions of the grant. So we've amended this one twice. We have 3 different versions. So the first allocation was 471,000. Then we increased the allocation, had an allocation change was the reason why we revised this one to 942. And then it looks like the LEA said I have a budget revision, or I want to change my budget narrative or something. The LEA initiated another change here. And we created a new version after that. So it gives a date of the activation of each of those. To show you again the payment requests. Here, if I'm on grant view, the grant view is again the high level umbrella. It shows everything. If I look at the log will show all payment requests that were issued or submitted, paid, rejected, whatever their status is. It will show me all payment requests that were issued under this program under the umbrella. However, if I'm looking at a specific award, this one in particular, let's say the most recent award, and I want to look at the details, I'm only going to see one reimbursement request there because I've only submitted one reimbursement request under this version of the grant. So one thing to kind of pay attention to when you are submitting reimbursement requests, you're going to do it here at the award view, but you may not see all of the applicable reimbursement requests for the overarching program, the umbrella. For that, you have to go back up a level to the grant view and look at the log to see everything. So it's one thing that I would really love Utah Grants to fix for us. But if you ever are missing reimbursement requests or things are missing from your view, this is why. It's because you probably have had an amended award and the reimbursement request was under a previous version. Go up a level to the grant view, go to your logs. You should be able to see everything from that vantage point. Okay, so you noticed I have not gone to the monitoring tab yet. Usually in our training materials, we have you go to the monitoring tab to submit a reimbursement request. You can actually do that when you're in award view also. So there's a number of ways that you can get places in Utah Grants. From award view, I'm looking at payment request. You'll notice that I have a button here that says new payment request. I can do that right here. And any user can create a payment request, either a creator or an approver. You just can't approve your own stuff. So that is how you get to payment requests. Waive funds. If I have money remaining here that I intend not to use, I want to free those funds up for another LEA, I can also waive them here once they've been awarded. Essentially what that will do is say anything that's left in the grant, whether it be 1 penny or $10,000, whatever the amount is, I'm going to say I'm going to waive what's left on the grant. That will then be submitted just like a payment request for approvals throughout the system. Once that's approved, the grant will be amended to match what's been paid. So you're essentially just waiving what's left. Okay, let me show you how you get to this same screen through the monitoring tab. And I believe this is how our training materials show you how to do it. I'm going to get to the same one just for consistency purposes. I want to find a payment request for 21 T1 FTFL. I go to the monitoring tab. And I am going to just search. This one gives me this nice little level 1, 2, and 3 boxes. If I Okay, level 1 would be my overarching umbrella, my grant view. Level 2 would be my next view, which is the current award view. And I don't think there's actually anything under level 3, but level 2 is where I need to go because I initiated award at, or initiate a payment at the award, most active current award view. So you can see the difference here because this one, remember how it had 3 awards associated with it? So I know that's my overarching umbrella. That's my level 1. My level 2 is, here's my current active award. So I'm going to click on that. I can also get there if I see it in the table below. Let me show you really quick. Sorry, there's a little bit of bouncing here. So if I see the program here, for example, if I wanted to initiate a payment under 20 CPR, I would click on the little plus sign next to that, and that takes me from level 1 to level 2, and I can access the record, the level 2 of my award, active award, here in the monitoring flex table as well. So a couple of ways to do that. I'm going to go back and use the search results. And again, you can see here that I'm in award view, and I am on the requests tab. And here I see those, this looks very familiar to what we saw again on the award view. I can click on new payment request. Okay, so this one I can't do a payment request because I don't have anything available. So, but this is how you would create a payment request or waive funds, is directly through the monitoring tab. Okay, so a couple of questions that we had prior to this meeting is who can do what, specifically as it relates to new payment requests or waiving funds. Waiving funds is important for a couple of different reasons. Number one, let me answer that. Anyone can create. You could be an approver or a creator, primary or secondary user within the system, and you can create that waiver request, but it still has to go to internal approval. Both the payment request and the waiver request would go to an internal approver before it comes to USBE to be finalized. Number two, why waive funds? Why is this important? Why do you need to do it? Or can you just let things sit out there? It's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have a number of programs that are associated, and we have to use oldest funds first before the newer funds become available. Title I is a good example of that. We may have 2 Title I grants running at any given time. They overlap because it's a 27-month period. Yep. We are requiring that you use the oldest funds first before you can access the newer funds. But sometimes you get that little pesky penny that's left over on the previous year grant. You know you can't draw it down because the way indirect costs work, you just want to waive that penny. Anyone can go in and say, waive the funds, waive that penny. And then that once that's approved, you'll be released so that you can submit claims or reimbursement requests on the second year of your Title I program. So that's one reason why it's important. You got to get rid of that penny on associated programs, multi-year crossover programs where you have to spend the oldest money first. Second reason is if you're truly not going to use those funds and another LEA can, this is how our grant managers know that those funds can be reallocated to another LEA. So hold on to them and use them if you know that you're going to use them. If you know that you're not, please go ahead and waive those so that frees the funds up for others so that we can use those tax dollars to support other LEAs. Okay. I think that we've hit the questions that I'm aware of. Are there other questions from the group, things that you'd like me to address that we have not hit in this very super fast training where I have done 100% of the talking? I'm opening it to you for questions.
Not seeing anything. We do have a pretty quiet bunch here, though, I've noticed. So let's just wait a second more.
I've noticed too. As you're thinking about questions, let me just hit one more thing that I may not have hit. This little pie chart here on the very last tab is actually an analytics tab. And that has a number of reports that are available to you that you can run and filter and query. I would suggest that you get out here and play around. You can't hurt anything here, but start looking at some of these reports. There's things that you can filter or have different views of information. You can download this information into an Excel format. It's just kind of another helpful tool for you to be able to access data from a report standpoint within Utah Grants. So another helpful tool for you.
Okay, well, I don't see any questions, and I just wanted to thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate you coming and joining us today. Very helpful information. And so we appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So I guess I just have a few messages for our group here to be aware of that's coming up. We do have, hopefully you all received a email about our fall finance training, which is going to be coming up. That is an all-day event, and that is on Wednesday, October 18th. And I do want to encourage you all to go to that. There's always really good information there. I always find it helpful. I mean, I've only been around for a year, but I went back and I watched old ones, and there's always good information in there. So, and they do record them. So, they may be available for you to come back to if you can't make it. And then secondly, we do have a couple of openings still left. I know I keep talking to you about our training schedule. I'm still looking for input from you guys. So if you guys want to share your thoughts on it, I'd appreciate it. We are talking about December, what you want to do for December. We had some options about a short online training or a full meeting or just canceling it. I did get somebody who quickly said cancel it. But we can do that. But if you want something else, just let me know. I want it to be what you want. So let me know there. We also I'm going to invite special ed to do a training for us. And then we're going to have internal audit who's going to come talk to us about fraud and internal controls. And then we still have a few openings on there. So if there's something you want to hear about, please let me know, because I would rather it be what you want than what I think you need. So, but thank you for joining, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Well, your name's in October for that meeting, but we'll be back with doing ours in, it looks like, oh, I forgot to mention, in November, we are going to have Land Trust come. And that one, I really want to impress upon you the importance of making it to that one, because it is going to be based on a rule change. So you will really want to know, because the rule change involves you specifically. So I really recommend highly that you be there for that one. And we will see you then. Thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate it. And have a good month.